Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast, and it is 2024. A Happy New Year to all the Cubs fans out there. All of our loyal listeners, we appreciate it. Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryan Herrera, Cody Delmendo. Becky's already in the live chat. Best way to enjoy the experience, same way it was in 2023. Sign up for that CHGO Sports YouTube page. Make sure you don't miss any of the episodes. We appreciate all of you. 5-star reviews, thumbs up, all those cool things.
Sign up, he says.
Sign up, whatever, you know.
Subscribe,
same
like
difference.
Hit the like
Semantics,
button,
whatever. New vibes. So 2024 is here. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't. How was New Year? Yeah, are you happy about? How did you ring in the New Year? We're all different ages, so I can tell you that I was asleep at midnight. I almost made it. Even the Texas game, I was like, I'm out.
You didn't stay till the ball drop?
No, I didn't. No. I heard fireworks going off in the neighborhood. I'm like, it's midnight.
There you go.
I was watching the 2001 Royal Rumble. That's what I was doing.
Nice.
Before midnight. Right in that hour, the hour before 2024 became official.
Please tell me you didn't pay cover and go somewhere.
Oh, I did. I paid way too much money to go to a but
just the worst.
A place called Liquor Box is actually a nice spot.
I don't know that spot.
It's called the Liquor Box?
Yeah, like LIQR box. It was a fun night.
Uh-huh.
It was a lot of money. Yes, it was, but whatever.
Listen, Chicago has great New Year's Eve deals if you get them early.
Yeah, if you get them early, not Wednesday before New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
that was our problem.
What was the fee to get in?
What was the fee again? I'm gonna keep that one close to the vest.
Oh, come on. It was absurd.
I'm gonna keep you guessing.
It was absurd. And then did you have trouble getting to the front of the line to get your booze?
Oh, no. It was the bar was we were able
about
to get
the table.
We didn't have to.
Oh, you're at a place with sparklers and stuff then. Ryan was at one of these places with the girls with sparklers coming to the table.
Yeah.
High rollers.
Right. That's what those are the I've had my time doing those. If you get them early, you pay $50, and from 9 to 1 a.m. you get all you can eat and drink. It's actually a really good deal if you get them early.
Deal. We'll bring you out next year, Luke.
Absolutely not. I will never go out for New Year's Eve again in my life. I did it until I was probably 42, 43, something like that.
Oh wow! So I got another 15 years ago.
Yeah, I went hard on New Year's Eve. I did a lot of New Year's Eves, but God, it's just the most overrated. The older you get, it's the amateur hour of it is why would I pay extra money to go to the same bar that I could go to for free 3 nights ago?
Now, but see, that's your problem. I've never been to this place. It was a new experience.
Well, would you pay the same amount to go there next weekend?
No, but I wouldn't pay. I wouldn't pay the same amount to go anywhere on January.
No, and then I always
7th.
had the problem of all these people. They'd cram all these people in, and you'd be 4 deep trying to get a Captain and Coke at a bar.
Yeah. Oh, you went Captain and Coke. You went middle shelf, huh?
Yeah, I usually was a Captain and Coke guy.
Okay. Not just.
Back in the day, I did a lot of Red Bull shots, Captain and Coke, whiskey sours.
Whiskey sours, all right. I do a little.
Luke Stuckmeyer was a partier.
I almost never. Well, when it's Goose Island, then I drink the beer, but then otherwise,
the night before New Year's Eve, I actually was out way too late with our good friend Big Dave.
Oh yeah,
oh, nice.
Way too late.
Big Dave.
Really?
I walked into my apartment at 4:30 in the morning after a night with Big Dave.
4:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
Been there.
Big Dave can hang. He usually stays out when he stays out.
Yeah, our other buddy,
call
our
him
other
Big
good
Dave.
buddy Matt Peck. This is CHGO Bulls crossover now. Our other buddy Matt Peck was also there, but he left a lot earlier.
He wasn't walking out of his apartment at 4:30 in the morning.
No, he was definitely home a lot earlier. But Big Dave was like, "Cody, we're going out tonight." I'm like, "Okay."
Godfather says he was in bed at 10 p.m.
Yeah, I wasn't in bed that early, but I heard the fireworks. I was maybe
I heard mine.
I'd like another 20 minutes to go till midnight, and I was like, what am I waiting up for?
You're just dozing off. You're like,
I've got a cold. Let's get through this thing and go to sleep.
Galvin says Luke Stuckmeyer further cementing his legendary status today.
no.
With the Captain and Cokes, to be honest, they were double Captain and Cokes.
Credit to you.
We're nominating Luke Stuckmeyer for the Cubs Hall of Fame after that one.
These are taking votes away from. Luke
Well, if
Stuckmeyer
Sammy's
getting
not
the
going to
Cubs
get
Hall
in,
of Fame.
maybe I will.
I did finally go to Winterland this year.
You did go
on Friday. I did.
How
go.
much longer? Does anyone know how much longer that's open?
It's still open. I know, like they promoted
It's
something.
cold.
Today.
You might as well go. But I mean, how much?
I will
kids
say
are out of school for like another week, so I'm
Yeah,
just guessing like
maybe.
another like 4 or 5 days.
I will say
maybe
they did more this year. There's more inside Wrigley Field to do than last year. So they made some improvements to it. But I did get the baked cheese, and I don't regret that.
And did you ice skate?
I did not.
Becky
I
says
donated to the Cody Bellinger Fund.
Becky says we're all awesome people. So
Thanks,
that's
Becky.
Nice. Usually she only gives that to Luke. So
Yeah.
it's nice to get an awesome
Credit to Becky for already starting off 2024 on a high note.
Solidifying her 5-star review for
Yes.
the rest of the season. Gary pointing out, yes, big news. The Cubs have signed another minor league relief deal.
Guy out of Japan, right?
Yeah,
Connor
little
Brewer.
major league time.
Colton
Brewer,
Brewer.
don't like the
Brewer.
last name.
Yeah, minor league signing. Is that Invet spring training is what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Probably. So yeah. Still no major league roster
Still
additions.
the last one, man.
It's hard to believe. So with 2024 here, I think realistically you can obviously say that the Cubs have made their moves, their significant moves, coaching front office, right? They've been all behind the scenes or off the field type jobs. Obviously, Craig Counsell is the biggest move.
Yeah.
Removing Ross and Counsell, that's so far their biggest move. I'll again say if that ends up being their biggest move of the offseason, I will give the grade F.
Yes. We all would.
Not that that's not a good move. I think it's a good move, but the roster needs fixing, not just the manager needed fixing. So
Yeah, and if we're being honest, like the roster is just not it just based on free agents and all that stuff, like the roster is just not it's on paper worse than it was in September, right?
Sure.
Like they have
Based
a
on what
worse
we know.
roster because they
even
have
if
not
they
made
bring
those additions.
even if they bring Bellinger back currently, it would still be worse than it was last year.
So they do still have work to do, and which like they are going to, right? Like they have to make additions to the major league roster. They can't run out a roster of 20-something guys, whatever. Like they need to fill out the roster, but just gonna like
The good news is that no one else is doing shit either. You know?
there's still
That's the good news.
there's still a lot of names out there, and then I don't know if it is like a coincidence that a lot of those guys are Scott Boras clients, but it does feel like for not just Cody Bellinger, but like Blake Snell, a lot of those guys that are being represented by Scott Boras, it's like, oh, like these are some of the best names still out there, but I'm going to get my guys as much money as I can. I'm going to get my guys the best deal they can. I'm not going to rush into, getting these guys signed wherever. Like, we can wait a little bit. I think it feels like that's kind of what is going on with some of the Boras clients. So I don't know when that shoe's going to drop for any of those guys, but I think that plays a part in why the Cubs haven't signed anyone, but why there's still some of these bigger names out on the market that are just kind of sitting there waiting.
155 days. That's the last time the Cubs made a major league transaction. That was trading for Jamer Candelario. 155 days.
I think Quas was also on that same day, wasn't it?
I forgot about him. Hopefully, I'm correct.
How could you
on
forget
this.
about Quas? You're the one that
I know. I'm like,
manifested, right? According to Barb.
Yeah, according to Barb, I'm the reason that he's here. But
Yeah.
she has the mentality of don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, and I appreciate that. But either way, well over 150 days since the Cubs have made a transaction related to the major league roster. So,
Gary-
talk, Jed.
Yeah, Gary says roster is a 72-win team. I don't disagree with that. Currently 72.
I would.
By the way, last year when I said 83 and it came true,
Oh my God.
because I'm right all the time.
Credit to you.
Go back and look at the social media bit we did where we predicted our Bears wins.
What did you predict?
I said 7, and then I went, okay, you talked me into it, 8.
8? Okay.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
I said 12.
Still got another week.
I said 12. Cody said 12.
Listen, if they didn't blow those 3 other games, they'd have 11 wins.
because I said 7,
And
and then I went back later and said 8. I feel like I'm going to take credit either way, most likely. Credit to me for being honest about it. So the Cubs, I guess the biggest thing you could say they did in the last couple of days, the news coming out that, obviously Jared Banner was promoted to assistant GM. Now Jason Kanzler has been hired as their director of player development, something that Banner did before that. And he comes from the Astros. And one thing I like about that is not that he'll teach us how to pound trash cans. Maybe he will. It's more about just having another voice from another place. I don't want all promotion within, because then it's just the same voices within all the time. I think it's good to have another new voice from another organization. His background seems to be mostly hitting related, right? Like he's kind of a hitting instructor for them, and now a lot of people thought he would stay there in Houston, where obviously they've been super successful. 7 straight ALCS. So do you like the idea of new voices coming in? I guess we don't have an alternative to that.
My immediate reaction once I can't remember the guy who reported, but I think comes out of Houston.
Michael Schwab?
Yes. Thank you, Ryan. Credit to you. My immediate reaction was, guys coming to the organization from Astros. Astros have done nothing but win over the last decade, basically.
7-8 years at least.
Yeah. And the fact that they no one talks about it enough, but they have to be one of the best teams when it comes to developing players. It's not like they're out there shelling out tons of money year in and year out, and they're in the ALCS every single year. All right. So to bring in a voice like that, sure, it can help. I think it could help, player development for sure. And, the Cubs have had issues with that over the years. Obviously, the pitching has gotten better. Now I think they're trying to improve the hitting side with that, I think. So, because he was the hitting coach for the Astros.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think that I tweeted from the CHGO Cubs account yesterday, kind of sarcastically. I was like, buy stock on the hit lab now, right? Like, I don't know if there's a such thing as a hit lab in the Cubs organization,
sure.
But they are taking the steps to try and improve player development from the hitting side, right? They have to remember that they had all of the core that, Chris Bryant, as much as I loved him, and injuries play a big part. He didn't really turn out to be what we all hoped. And again, I blame mostly injuries. Same thing with Javi Baez. He had the runner-up MVP season, then just started to fall apart after that. Like Kyle Schwarber, hits a lot of home runs, but a lot of inconsistencies. My point here is none of the core, outside of, I guess, Anthony Rizzo, really ever developed into guys that we thought they were going to be. And that's a big reason why they didn't win again. Outside of front office not spending money, the inability to develop pitching and develop more players, the actual core that they had that we all thought was going to be, have this team in a consistent winning the NL Central every year, they did it for 2 years. 16 and 17, right? And then 18, 95 games. Okay. But you go with a wild card game, and then everything started to trend down after that. You didn't continue to see those guys perform the way that we thought that they would. And so I hope that that experience in the organization, they're trying to improve player development, get more consistency out of guys that they develop.
Yeah, I mean, Brian obviously reached it. He just didn't maintain it as long as we wanted him to.
That's a better way to say
it.
Right?
So this Jason Kanzler's kind of credited with helping Jeremy Pena, the great shortstop from the Astros, making mechanical adjustments at the plate and helping him that way. The only
World Series MVP.
The only thing I will
rookie season, right? Mm-hmm.
The only thing I will caution, I said, great, another voice from another organization. The only cautionary tale of that is, don't just assume that somebody comes from some organization that they're just good because they were at the Astros. I'm not saying he's not good, but like Matt Nagy came from the Chiefs, and how happy are you that Matt Nagy's not here? So, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
And that tree in general hasn't done.
No, I to go back to your original question was like, bringing in outside voices, like voices not from just internally, right? Like going out and taking good voices from, especially when you're talking about like the good organizations around baseball. Like obviously, like those organizations lose guys because good organizations are going to have really good guys throughout the organization that other teams want. So to your original point, your original question, I do think it's good just because this guy's coming from Houston. He's obviously been there for, around the same length of time that the Astros have been really, really good. Like I don't think that's a complete coincidence that he's just been there as this team has done really well.
7 years, I think. Yeah,
and like he doesn't have like a player development background, but obviously the Cubs saw something in him that they believe could work in filling this role. So I was looking for the quote. I can't find it, but I know Jed had talked about, or I believe it was Jed either at the GM meetings or the winter meetings, talking about just that of bringing in outside voices. And because he kind of mentioned like him and Jed were together for a long time from Boston, and then when they came here, and some of the other guys that were in that front office for a long time, that was like a group that had been together in different places for a long time. So you had like your Boston guys, and then obviously you have a lot of Chicago guys from the same front offices. So in a way, like I don't think that's a bad thing, but in a way, like when you have the same guys together for a long time, you stop, like you don't have the ability to, or maybe you have less of an ability to kind of look at things with a fresh set of eyes, right? So to bring in someone else, especially a guy that obviously they believe can do some good things in the player development side, and reading some of the things about him, like there was this sense that he was like a fast rising kind of guy in the organization. So to bring in a new guy, a new set of eyes, and obviously you still have Jared Banner around too, right? He got promoted, but I'm sure he'll still have some kind of a hand in the player development side of the Cubs. So to have him still in the organization, but to have a new guy taking over as farm director, I think just bringing in a new set of eyes can be beneficial for this team. As they're still getting out of this rebuild, right? They're still getting these prospects have largely not debuted in the major leagues yet, so you don't know. So they're all still developing at the minor league level. So to continue this rebuild, continue this player development side with a new set of eyes, I think can be beneficial for Cubs team when they have had the same kind of voices around for a long time. So I think Brendan's talked about it before. Like it doesn't have to be a bad thing to bring in a new set of voices. Even when the Cubs lost Craig Breslow, who was, we'll talk about him, right? Like he was a guy that they lost. That's a pretty important voice in the organization. But to bring in a new voice isn't always a bad thing.
Right. Ryan Otero now promoted to that director of pitching that Breslow was. So you see that. And so there's continuity there, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to be continuity everywhere. It's just some new voices every once in a while doesn't hurt. That's just an opinion. And Barb, by the way, in the live YouTube chat asking, does Stucky have a cold? He sounds, did she say plugged?
Blocked.
You bet, Barb. You bet. Let me tell you, it's been the winter of my discontent.
I've never seen Stucky this blocked, as Barb would say.
No, yeah, and she says, "Don't breathe on Ryan and Cody." Well, I'm trying to talk this way. I feel like I'm on the back end of it. If you'd heard me 2 days ago, I wouldn't have been able to even speak without coughing.
We got a super chat from Ricky De Hoyos. I think that's how you say his name. Sorry. Let's hope the Cubs sign someone soon for $2. Thanks, Ricky. Me and you both, brother. I'm just over here
Ricky.
just twiddling my thumbs. 155 days, way too long. What was your favorite part of the last 155 days? Friends we made along the way.
Yeah, it's
yeah, you weren't here when we talked
Cubs
about
hiring council.
The Cubs, like even before last season, their big signings happened in like December 22. Like Swanson, Bellinger, Tyone, like the rest of the signings they made. I know they had like Mancini and Hosmer right around Cubs convention last year. Like they went the whole 2023 without a big free agent signing, like besides Craig Counsell.
Yes,
it's kind of crazy.
This is forever.
This is the only thing that again continues to leave me hopeful. And I know like a month ago I was like, if we go to Cubs convention and they still haven't done anything, I'm going to get irrational. I'm going to be impatient. I'm probably going to scream a little bit. The only thing, again, is that no one's doing anything. Well, the Red Sox traded Chris Sale this weekend. Okay. Was Chris Sale ever rumored to go to the Cubs? Do you even want Chris Sale on this team right now, considering his injury history that he's had the last handful of years? Considering what the Red Sox or what the Braves had to give up to get him? I don't know. I wasn't like butthurt that the Cubs didn't get Chris Sale. You know what I mean? Like, there hasn't been any free agent signings outside of, a few like the Blue Jays have made a few moves, getting Kiermaier that we've talked about, that infielder that I can't remember his name. Like, there just hasn't been anything big, even after Yamamoto, which is so surprising because everyone just like thought, especially after Ohtani, everyone was like, oh, the market's really going to open up after Ohtani. Oh, the market's really going to open up after Yamamoto signs. All right, well, what's going on, man? Like, and it brings me back to Scott Boras is controlling this market, man. Like, that's where we're at. Like,
Well, then he's the devil.
he is.
He's the devil.
He is the absolute worst. But that's the only thing I got for you guys. Like, every passing day that nothing happens only makes me feel even more confident that Cody Bellinger at least will be back next year with the Cubs. So I hope I'm right about it. I feel pretty confident about it. But oh boy, it's at a point where we're just like, there's just no possible way they can go into spring training with this. There's no way. I would say it's a fireable offense if it goes completely bad. Honestly, it would be a fireable offense if we go into spring training with this current roster right now.
It can't. They can't even go to Cubs convention next week, right? Something's got to happen this week.
I just think that
if it was big enough, I guess they could hold it a day for Cubs convention. Be like, Cody Bellinger,
right? I just like, I can't see the front office literally doing nothing. They've literally done nothing. They haven't made a major league signing. They're the only team left this offseason that hasn't made a major league signing. They haven't made a trade. Nothing. They do. I refuse to believe it.
Hey, Cody, by the way, Becky, I do take vitamin C. An old guy like me, I'm taking vitamin C. Come on. It's not my fault. The kid goes to daycare.
You drinking green tea still?
Green tea's in that bottle right there.
That helps with the immune system.
Supposed to, right? Yeah. Acai is all supposed to be good stuff.
Little OJ.
Lots of fresh OJ from Mariano's.
Isn't that
no sugar added?
Is that
vitamin D is the sunshine. That's also good for fighting things. But vitamin C is supposed to be immune system.
Okay. Okay. That's how much I know about vitamin.
Yeah, whatever.
Vitamin that.
About health.
Cody tells, one of the bright spots of 2024 already is CIRCA Sportsbook.
Yeah, I'm actually undefeated in 2024. I haven't yet to lose a bet in 2024. Shout out to the over in Texas, Washington.
Wow, what a finish.
And shout out to Karl Anthony Towns for hitting 2 threes yesterday. All done on CIRCA Sportsbook, my favorite app when I wake up in the morning and look at. All right, 3 reasons why I love CIRCA, guys. The tight money line splits. The games will strive to be a -110 split on the CIRCA Sports menu, unlike other sportsbooks, which may use -115 or -120 splits. CIRCA Sports keeps as little money as possible on large market bets, especially compared to other books. Another thing that I really like is they don't limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. They actually encourage bettors to download and explore other sports betting apps available to compare the lines from each sportsbook, just so you can see for yourself just how great CIRCA Sportsbook is. And finally, I emphasize this every time I do this ad read, like the customer service there is the best, all right? There are real people behind the CIRCA Sports brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion, unlike other books who use chatbots. I don't know about y'all. I wish chatbots would just completely go away in 2024, but unfortunately they still exist. All aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main CIRCA Sportsbook at CIRCA Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. So, download the CIRCA Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for CIRCA events, watch parties, and tailgates. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, text GAMB to 833-234, or visit areyourreallywinning.com.
Luke, why go to a doctor when you can just read the CHGO Cubs
That's
chat?
right. Everybody's got something. Barb says, go to Manny's Deli, get me some chicken soup, send Ryan. By the way, Manny's Deli, Jefferson, on Jefferson there, they've got great matzo ball soup. Great matzo ball soup. Barb also says he needs to rub a little Vicks on his chest.
Why am I being sent to go get
your
chicken soup?
Yeah, it wasn't my idea. Godfather says vitamin D is a must. De La Cruz says green tea, honey, squeeze of lemon. I like that idea. Barb says Barb said Vicks on his chest, and then Becky said or the vapor rub stuff. I think that's what she's talking about. Vicks vapor rub, yeah. Really smother it on there. Just kind of grease yourself up in Vicks.
Yeah. You know what else would help is the sauna at Midtown Athletic Club.
Ooh, yes.
Big time. I tell you what, they got 4 Chicagoland locations, Ryan. Palatine in the northwest burbs, Bannockburn in the north shore, Willowbrook, southwest suburbs, Midtown Athletic Club and Hotel right in the middle of Bucktown and Lincoln Park. The Palatine location has launched a multi-million-dollar transformation of the club. That's going to be done early this year in 2024. They get something for everybody. Single people, families with kids, you're looking to make lifestyle changes because it's the new year. There you go. Yes, you take a sauna, get all this out of your head. Just steam it out. Just steam it out.
Opens the pores.
Have you ever had a steam shower like in your house? It's great. Don't have one now, but I used to. Wow, it was really good.
What do you mean a steam shower? Like
it's glass encased, and then there's a thing on the wall, and you turn it up to like 110, and steam blows out of it. And so you're just like, if you're in a steam room in a gym, you have your own one in your house. Your shower is a steam room.
Never had that, but it sounds
You just let the cold water just slowly drip so your feet don't burn. And you can sit in there for hours. It's great.
I bet they have it in Midtown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can get them. Anybody can get one in their house. It's not like some crazy thing to put in there. Anyways, I guarantee you can get a great steam at Midtown Athletic Club. You get the sauna, the steam, either way, hot tubs, you name it. And you guys have been over there. It's the nicest gym I've ever been in.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even really call it a gym. It's a gym, but they don't call it a gym.
It's an experience.
Well, it's funny because I live so.
It's a lifestyle experience.
I live so close to the Chicago location that I would drive by it all the time. Didn't know what to expect when we went in the first time, and eye-opening.
It was like you walked into Las Vegas.
Oh yeah,
changed my life.
Amazing.
The Las Vegas of gyms is what it is.
Yeah.
That's everything's top notch.
Without all the slot machines.
Didn't know a gym could be that nice. Yeah. A fitness club could be that nice, and it was awesome.
Beautiful. They got everything. They got cross training. They got spin cycling, boxing, yoga, group exercise, best tennis courts in the area. Midtown has indoor and outdoor tennis, pickleball, paddleball, USTA, professional quality all the way. Head over to midtown.com/CHGO to find out more or to tour the Midtown Athletic Club nearest you. I am going to work out more in 2024.
Well,
that's one of my slogans. I've got a lot of slogans.
Work out more in 2024.
My first one is boogers no more in 2024. Okay? Then work out more in 2024.
Yeah.
I'm working on the first one before I work on the second one.
I stepped on the scale for the first time in over a year yesterday and was pleasantly surprised. So now my New Year's resolution is actually a lot more easier to achieve than I was originally thinking. So I'm excited to hopefully lose 30 pounds. That's my New Year's
How long do your resolutions last? Like if you don't get to 30, do you cut it off at 20 and go, that was a good effort?
Well, it's really
sometime in March, and then you go back to it, right?
It's really going to depend on how I am by the time baseball season comes, because I can't hold myself back at Wrigley Field.
So that's the problem.
That's the problem. Beers, the rooftops, all these things, it's not a good influence on me when it comes to trying to lose 30 pounds.
So when do you want to lose 30 pounds by when?
Ideally,
just this year.
But ideally it's in the next 3 months, which I think is possible. If I legit
10 pounds a month,
if I legit commit and I'm legit going to do this, I am going to do dry January this year.
Oh,
wow.
That actually will. It's surprising when people stop drinking for whatever reason, just the inflammation that goes down.
Yep.
It's pretty shocking how bad alcohol is for you.
Yep.
Yeah, so that honestly,
except for Goose Island, of course.
Well, it's not that I don't want Goose Island. It's just like I need to.
Right.
If I want to lose the 30
to
pounds, it would be a lot easier, to get to that point. So
you're 30 pounds. What's your resolution, Ryan?
I don't really make resolutions because I don't know. I feel like then I feel like I'm
Do you have a goal for
forcing
2024?
myself to do something. My goal is to not be angry when baseball games aren't under 2 hours this year. I guess that'll be my resolution. No, I don't know. I guess I just try to. I don't really make resolutions like specifically on New Year's. I just kind of.
You don't have a bench press number that you'd like to hit in 2024?
No, that was 2022 when I hit 275 on the bench.
More in 2024?
Bench more in 2024. You know what? Yeah, we'll
there
do
you
that.
go. Bench more in 2024. Wow.
I mean, there's 2024 is an easy one. You can just add more to anything.
No, I you know what it is? I give up things for Lent. And that's kind of like where my resolutions are. So I don't really do it for New Year's. And I haven't decided on Lent yet.
Hey, shout out, congratulations to the Godfather. He lost a half a pound.
Hell yeah, Godfather.
Godfather.
Progress.
In 2023 or in the last couple days?
I would say in 2023.
I've been off the rails with holiday food, just like butter, cookies out the wazoo, trying to feed this cold.
the holidays though.
Today's the day, though. January 2nd, it all started for me today. And I walked in here. We're going to see how many days I can go. No sweets. Zero
it's
sweets.
It's really hard to come in here and not eat a Rice Krispie treat like I did.
So it already happened to me. Yeah. I walked in this morning and I forgot about the no sweets thing. And I opened up the cabinet and they were in there. And I was like, Rally Rice Krispie treat. Something clicked in my head and said, no, you can't. It's January 2nd. So.
Right.
Yeah, but you're rallying off this sickness that you got right now. Like, that could help.
That's it. I mean,
Fernando got a good one. More Hawaiian shirts. That could be my resolution. Just increase my stock of Hawaiians for this summer.
What should the Cubs' resolution be? Obviously, sign. The easy one is please sign somebody. How about a New Year's resolution? Sign somebody, trade for somebody, do something. Preferably before Cubs convention next week.
Look, I'll go like inside the organization, I guess, internally. I would like Christopher Morel to improve on the strikeout rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Improve on the strikeout rate. I think that is possible. So, yeah.
That's solid. Because when we talked about, one of your bold predictions, was it Morel making the All-Star team?
It was, and then I changed it to PCA leading the team in stolen bases because I thought that was more bold.
Yeah, but I think if Morel, for Morel specifically, he's got clear things to work on, as just in his game in general. But he's also he's 24, going to be 25, or he just turned 25, whatever it is. He's young and doing a lot of his developing at the major league level. So
right,
that's not a bad one. I think mine for the Cubs is, and obviously signing guys is a must. They have to make additions to the major league roster. They have to improve the team somehow. But I think the Cubs' resolution should be really hitting on some of these prospects that should come up this year. You go back to 2021, even 2020 when they traded Yu Darvish, they were getting a lot of teenagers and young guys and guys that had potential but were years away. We've seen Pete Armstrong came up, but he was only up for a few weeks and didn't get a whole lot of runway. Jordan Wicks is only up for about a month. Made some starts, looked good, but it was only a month. But a lot of their top prospects and a lot of guys, they're close, but they haven't debuted yet. They're not impacting the major league roster yet. So I think a Cubs resolution is see results from what you did 2-3 years ago and have been doing as far as player development, because I don't know if we're going to see Pete Armstrong on the opening day roster, but I assume he's going to be up for a lot of time this season whenever he does come up, and then you got Ben Brown potentially, or should make his debut, right? Cade Horton could potentially make his debut this year. You already have Jordan Wicks up, right? You have a lot of guys that are starting to get right at the cusp of making their debuts. But these are guys that we've kind of been hearing about for multiple years now that just haven't, that were just young or were early on in their development. And so now this is the season where I want to see some of these guys that they traded for, they drafted, or whatever, come up and actually impact the team, because I think that's, it's going to be, it may end up being another weird transitional season out of this rebuild where they're not world beaters, World Series contenders, right? But when they get to that point, some of these young guys, some of these prospects are surely going to be involved, right? They're going to be pieces on those teams, whether that's starting or supplemental bench pieces or bullpen or back of the rotation, whatever. Like, they're going to be impacting the team. And so now I think this is the year we need to see a lot of those top prospects, guys that they've brought in and we've heard about a lot, impacting the major league roster. I just think that's important to see this season, that the things you've done over the last few years are actually going to bear fruit for your major league roster.
Garrett Johnson in the live YouTube chat says PCA gets 150 hits next year, 30 steals, and 14 home runs. That's pretty good. That'd be a nice resolution. I think resolutions need to be realistic, right? Like, I think your 30 pounds is realistic. If you really want to put your mind to it, it's realistic. If I want to say no sweets in January or as long as I can go, it's realistic. Now, if I want to say I'm never going to have a sweet for all of 2024, I personally know it's not realistic. So why even say it, right? So I think both of what you said for the Cubs are realistic. They do need to start developing prospects into stars. Period. They need star power. So some of these prospects might have to be the stars of the future for the Cubs. Not just a good guy, not just hey, this guy's successful. They need somebody like Cade Horton to come up and shove and be really legit, like a frontline starter. They need PCA to come up and start the rest of the league where kids in other cities are wearing Pete Crow Armstrong jerseys. That's the type of player that they need to start to develop. For me, it's a wider picture thing. And it should be realistic, but it should be so obvious to the Cubs. Their New Year's resolution should be make the playoffs. Period. Make the playoffs. Because the playoffs are so weird, I'm not even going to say win a playoff series. But if their resolution for 2024 isn't at the very least, we've got to be a playoff team, then we're going the wrong direction. And I'm sure that they think that. So all of the things you're talking about, whether it's developing young guys, whether it's Morel cutting down on strikeouts, all those things play into it. But the bigger picture New Year's resolution has to be they have to be a playoff team in 2024.
Yeah, well, if you're talking about just continuing in the right trajectory, right direction as an organization, you were one game out from making the playoffs last year. So the next step is being the one game in on the playoffs, right? Like, that should be the next step. That should be the goal. So having playoff expectations this season shouldn't be looked at as unrealistic, right? Like, even when we're sitting here right now, I would still say the Cubs should make the playoffs in 2024. Like, we're sitting here right now we've talked about how the roster, they haven't made additions. The roster, as on paper right now, is worse than it was when the season ended. But I still think having playoff expectations, even without making moves yet, isn't unrealistic.
No, with this division, it should absolutely be division champions, not wild card.
Right. Well, and the reason that you might feel that way is because these prospects are highly touted. The Cubs aren't ranked the first or second or third best farm system in baseball for no reason, right? Like, of course, right now as we sit here, we don't know what's going to happen, right? Like, Kybert in the chat is asking, are any of these prospects ready to break out? Not so sure. Well, yeah, we don't know. All we have is 19 at-bats from PCA. Cade Horton has not even made his Major League debut. Owen Casey, he's probably going to start the year in AAA. I don't know. Like, that's the thing is you don't know, but what you guys are saying is true. Like, they need these guys, some of these guys, to turn into quality contributors. And like, I can keep going. Like Matt Shaw, they're clearly high on him, and he went from being drafted to AA in a half a year,
months,
right?
Yeah.
He could easily be on the Cubs mid-season next season, right? There's so many dudes. But right now, I mean, I wish I had the crystal ball that told you what was going to happen. But when you're asking, do the Cubs have any prospects that can break out? They absolutely do. I just don't know which ones that will. So, but that's also why we've sat here and we're like, they gotta add with some free agents. They gotta add some veterans, because when you do that and you have the possibility of some of these prospects coming up and helping, that helps put your team in a really good spot to contend and have sustained success.
No, yeah, they absolutely need to sign impact players for the Major League roster. Like, that's the easy one, right? Like whether that's Cody Bellinger, whatever starter you want to talk about,
Sign and or trade,
actually those bullpen additions of veterans that actually hit this time around, right? Like they need to sign impact players. There's no doubt about that. But I think when you're looking at it this season and the next few seasons, like some of these prospects have to come up and be impactful in their own right, just because that's how you avoid going through what the Cubs went through last time after the World Series, right? Where they're just paying all this money to free agents because they couldn't develop their own guys specifically on the pitching side, right? Like that's what hurt them, and that's why that, you know, after 2016, you just didn't see the prospect development come up to supplement the roster, because that's how you sustain success. Is, you know, guy gets too expensive to pay, well, you have another guy coming up that can help replace that production if you lose him, right? So they weren't able to do that last year, or last time around, last competitive window. When this new competitive window really opens up, like they have to be able to do that and do that consistently. And that's why I'm saying these prospects that are right on the cusp have to come up and they have to be impactful, because I think that's, if the Cubs are going to get to that level they want to get to, that's one of the things they have to do a lot better this time around.
Godfather of CHGO says Cubs will snore in 24. Listen, we hope that's not the case.
Well done, Godfather.
We hope
you
that's not
did
the
the
case.
bit very well. It's the one thing I look forward to in all of 2024. Godfather to remain consistent with the bit.
I'll say this again. I still don't see a path where not having Cody Bellinger allows the Cubs to be better than they were last year.
So they will need a lot of guys to
They need those
outperform.
prospects to come up. Yeah.
They will
Boy,
need some of those guys to outperform what
But
we
you're
think.
really trying to thread the needle at that point.
Oh, for
because
sure.
You might as well have him be a buffer for that.
Right. No, yeah. No,
So to me, he's a resolution too. Like, find a way to get it done with Bellinger.
see, I think Corey and Brennan talked about this on the Friday show that I really agreed with. I think it was Corey who said this. Like, he was fine with how the Cubs went with the route going into 2015 with bringing up prospects and all that. Like, going into 2015, what did they do? They had traded for Dexter Fowler, they traded for Miguel Montero, and they signed John Lester, right? They made one massive free agent signing and then added a bunch of, they traded for Fowler, traded for Montero.
Solid veteran additions.
And then they, small deals after that, right? He was fine with that because you wanted to see what some of these young guys had. My thing with why this time around in this scenario is that you saw some young guys come up last year and show some sort of promise, right? But now you're in a position where your really good prospects are scheduled to come up. So you have to supplement with those guys, right? And that's a lot what Corey and Brennan were talking about on Friday in terms of like, yes, we want to see these prospects come up and be very good and contribute and stuff, but you're in a complete different scenario compared to 2015. And right now with where we're at, it feels like the Cubs are treating 2024 like 2015 with the lack of outside external free agent signings to this point, right?
Yeah.
So, and I tend to agree with what they're saying. Like, going into 2015, it was a lot different. Like they did sign John Lester, and they did make some really good trades that turned out to lead them to a World Series. We're just like, but at the same time, that team got to the playoffs because Chris Bryant won Rookie of the Year, because Anthony Rizzo took another step in his career, and because Addison Russell, came up and was a really good defensive shortstop.
Schwarber came up.
Schwarber lit the world on fire. Right?
And remember, Jed has said this group of prospects doesn't have the same type of star power as that group did.
Right.
Yeah, so it is different, right? Like the Cubs have
more depth, maybe.
Yeah,
but not the top.
Yeah, I don't
quality.
know. I don't know if it's as top heavy as it was. Was that 8 years ago now? Jeez, 9 years ago. I don't know if it's as top heavy as it was the last time around, but they do have quality depth in the farm system, and they have a few top 100s depending on where you're looking at. They have more than a few guys that are like either in the top 100 or right there knocking on the door for it. So they do have star potential, and obviously Pete Crow Armstrong and Cade Horton are their top two, and those are like the real star power kind of guys. But they have, I think where I'm falling is like, it is a little bit different than 2015 because you don't have like a Chris Bryant knocking on the door where you're like, this guy's going to win Rookie of the Year out of the gate and be, when he came out and he lived up to the hype, right? I don't know if you specifically have that in the Cubs farm system now, but you do have guys you want to see. You do have guys that you want to give some run, and that's why, like, I understand, like, Cubs fans wanting them just to go out and sign everyone, right? Fill the holes with guys on like really good free agents, spend all the money, and go try to win now, right? But you do have guys in the farm system that you do want to see, and if you're signing all these guys, they may never get that opportunity with the Cubs. Right. And some of these guys could be, those guys for the next few years that are supplementing the big signings at cheap contracts, like pre-arbitration. Even when they get to arbitration, like some of these guys will be just a lot cheaper and could be very impactful for the team. And I think you do need to see at least what some of them can do at the big league level.
I think that
it's a weird season. It's a weird.
I think if there's one or two guys in the system right now that I think could develop into someone close to Chris Bryant, it's hard to get to that level. I mean, he had all the pressure to be this phenom or whatever, right? And he delivered for 3 years. If I had to choose someone in this system right now, it would be Matt Shaw or Owen Casey. Those are the two guys. And I say Owen Casey because he's a lefty power bat, and that can be very valuable. We've talked about how the Cubs have needed that for years, right? And Matt Shaw, just the way that he has risen through the rankings, the fact that he's a first-round pick, top 15 pick, maybe he's the steal of the draft. I don't know. We're going to see. But those are the two guys that I feel like could maybe turn into
superstars.
Yeah,
superstars.
Like superstar caliber players. I think PCA will be a very, very good player, but he just hasn't proven that he can hit yet. And I know Matt Shaw and Owen Casey haven't proved anything at the major league level yet, but I think they project to have more impact offensively than PCA does. PCA is going to be a defensive guy who will find a way to get on base somehow, some way, I think, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to slug the way that we hope.
Well, prospects bring one word, and that is generally uncertainty. You just don't know. Now, one place that gives you certainty is Empire. Empire Today, you shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation at a low price guarantee. Empire Today, best place to get new flooring. So, of course, they have copycats, but they just don't live up to the hype. Think of it this way. You can go to the big box store place, and somebody can help you out there, and sure, you could. Empire takes away all the garbage samples, so you don't have to worry about the prospects that might not hit. They give you only the best stuff, only the top 10 prospects in the organization. They say, this is what's going to be here. This is available to you. And by the way, all I know is flooring. I wasn't working in plumbing yesterday like the big box store. So you get experts on this, and they have a virtual floor designer too that allows you to see those new floors in any space. So you just snap a picture, instantly see how the new floors look in your room. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code CHGO. What a way to start the new year, $350 off. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details. I mean, listen, if you're going to get flooring to start the year, you're like, wow, I got to get new carpet. I got new vinyl flooring, whatever it might be. And that's how I want to start maybe you want to use your tax return. Ooh. Maybe the tax return is going to be burning a hole in your pocket before it gets there. Get that free in-home estimate. Change the way you live this winter. A little nice new warming up of the house. Apartment, condo, whatever.
Yeah, and after that, go over to FOCO and check out what they got.
Of course.
Get fitted out in the best sports gear around. Hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. It's almost baseball season. So if you like, your Aloha Hawaiian shirts like me.
Right.
Or straw hats, polos, bags, everything you need for the game that's coming up. Or if you're going down to spring training, that's a month and a half away, right? Game starting a little under 2 months. Oh. Like, you might want to get ahead of the game. So they also got set decorations. We got them in here. We got them in the other studio.
Oh, here we go.
FOCO's donated a few awesome pieces for our set, so go show them some love. Check out FOCO.com or click the link in the description below. For all non-presale items, use the promo code CHGO10 for 10% off. The Cubs just announced their 2024 Major League coaching staff. So something we've been kind of waiting to see confirmed.
All right, let's do it.
Gary was breaking it in the chat.
So Ryan Flaherty named bench coach, as we know. Darren Holmes as bullpen coach. Mark Strittmatter as Major League field coordinator, and John Malley as assistant hitting coach.
Hitting coach.
They also have 10 coaches returning from the 2023 season. So that's Tommy Hotovy, Willie Harris, Mike Napoli, Dustin Kelly, So
Napoli at first.
Yeah.
Harris at third.
Yeah, Daniel Moscas, assistant pitching coach again. Juan Cabreja, assistant hitting coach. Jim Aducci, assistant hitting coach. So a lot of the same, obviously, coaches in the same roles. So that's great for continuity's sake, but a few other names that we've heard already. Ryan Flaherty's new bench coach, stuff like that. So I guess I will have something on this later, but Cubs have officially announced their coaching staff, which is something we've kind of been waiting a while for. Like, I know that Craig Counsell wanted to, like, at his introductory press conference said, want to, be deliberate, go slow, because his whole process went so quickly. He wanted to be slow and deliberate and take his time with making these decisions. So, I know we were expecting a little bit longer to hear the official coaching staff announced, but that the coaching staff has officially been filled out. 10 coaches returning from the last coaching staff, with a few new faces taking over some of those holes that have opened up during this offseason.
Carlos, welcome to the live show. We are live Monday through Thursday right here at 1:20, 1:30, depends on what time you want to be. But we're in the middle of the afternoon. We're here every day, and we try to bring you the best Cubs coverage we can. And so, we got that just came in, the Cubs coaches, right? I think Jim Aducci, if I'm not mistaken, I believe was in the Cubs farm system as an outfielder. Mm-hmm. And Flaherty obviously was in the farm system. I think it's interesting that there's guys that were from the last generation of Cubs players are still in the organization, but now in different roles. Like they've carried over and crossed that line. So we'll see how it all works out. I mean, I can't sit here and tell you I can't tell you how good somebody's going to be as a coach or a hitting coach. And I think anybody that tells you they think they know, they're probably lying to you.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about Ryan Flaherty when he first got hired weeks ago.
Very highly thought of.
Yeah, many around the league think he's gonna be a manager one day. So I think him being the bench coach is interesting. And obviously, I'm a Tommy Hotovy and Dustin Kelly guy. Galvin in the chat said that Hotovy is one of the most important pieces here or something like that. Underrated coaches in the league. That's what he said. And I agree. Like there's something about every time he goes out to the mound, whenever a guy's in a pickle, as they say, and then they get out of it. It doesn't happen every single time, but it happens more often than not.
Walks out in his Jordans.
Yeah, walks out in his Jordans. He's been on this show, so we will never say anything bad about Tommy Hotovy to begin with anyway. But I just think he is very, very bright mind and related to pitching. So, and I love that Napoli's coming back because he has good vibes. So I have nothing to complain about the coaching staff at all. I don't remember the last time I said that, really. So hopefully they bring out the best in everyone next season. So
I got a question for you. So, we all read the same stuff. There's a lot of different rumors and publications that will throw stuff against the wall. And, we've done it ourselves. The latest one was that, the Marlins would look to move Jesus Luzardo and maybe try to get a big return, right? See, I've seen it multiple places. All right, he's one of 12 pitchers that had 200-plus strikeouts last year. Mm-hmm. So in that way, obviously, we've said, listen, they need less. Not that they need less. They need something different than just contact guys to their great defense. They need somebody that's going to miss the bat. Yeah. So that would be one thing. I think I saw earlier in the chat because a lot of these articles are saying, well, yeah, but if you're going to have to get up a haul to get Luzardo because he's young and he's under control. He's 26 and he's been really good the last 2 years. Would you give up PCA for him? Because it probably would take nothing less than your top prospect to get him because of the control.
I would give PCA up for him, and it largely is because he is 26 and he has shown success at the major league level. He's a 3.7 WAR last year, ERA about 3.5. But like you said, he gets swing and miss. Struck out 28% of the batters he faced. Pitched 178 innings, so he's healthy. I'm someone who wants to keep PCA.
Yeah.
more than anything, But at the same time, if you trade PCA for Luzardo, then it makes even more sense to bring Bellinger back. You'll have him in center field. And then you have a guy that you can put at the top of rotation with Justin Steele. And you did it via trade, who is under control. I don't know what the contract is, but I'll look it up right now. But to me, I'd give up PCA and probably a couple other guys for Luzardo.
Barb, we're not trying to trade him. Gary, I asked a question. I didn't make a statement. Gary says Morel's pretty good.
3 years. It's not just 1 year like Juan Soto.
And he has a good track record of
other guys
success,
that
and he's something you don't have. The only way you even consider it, though, I would say, is if you have Bellinger in the fold.
Yeah,
I think that's
obviously
part of it.
You would have to have Bellinger in the fold to then be like, listen, we have Bellinger. He could play center. He could play first. And we do have a lot of prospects that are outfielders that we might be able to find space for outside of PCA.
Barb says if Hoyer trades PCA for Luzardo, she'll vote Cody and Stuckey bums of the week.
All right.
There's that.
Barb, then don't come in the chat and complain about the fact that the Cubs don't have good players. You can't be on both sides, Godmother. You can't be on both sides, all right? We're trying to make the team better. They would be better with Jesus Luzardo on this team. 26 years old. It's not like he's 32. He's 26, has proven to have success. It makes all the sense in the world to have a guy like Jesus Luzardo on this team. He is a good baseball player. Okay.
3.7 wins above replacement on Fangraphs. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
For the sake of just the discussion,
that's,
of course.
That's definitely something that, when you talk about his like, just at the major league level, he has continued to improve. In Oakland and in Miami, obviously, you mentioned the control, and he doesn't become a free agent until 2027. So there's a lot of control left for a guy that's kind of upward trajectory.
In his prime.
You mentioned 26, so he's still...
And pitching costs, man.
Yeah, and so, I don't know if I would or would not. I would like to take a look into the numbers a little bit more before I say that that's definitely a trade you should make for Pete Crow Armstrong, just because he is your top prospect, Yeah. So that would be, not only would it maybe be, Jesus Luzardo would cost a lot, but then you're also thinking about, is it worth giving up the guy that's seen universally as the system's top prospect? So, I mean, right now, I don't know. I don't know if that's a deal that I would take, but I do see where you're coming from, Cody, in that he's a good pitcher, has had major league success, obviously, over a number of years. And pitching costs, pitching costs have gone up to trade for good pitchers, and the Cubs need good pitchers at this point, right? They need. We've looked at the rotation, and what the rotation looks at right now doesn't look like a dominant rotation to me. They have Steele, who had a top 5 Cy Young finish, right? I think we can all expect Jameson Taillon to improve this next season. I don't think that's unrealistic to say he'll have a better year than he did in 2023. Like Kyle Hendricks proved to still be a stabilizing force, even though he may not be what he was in 2018 and before, right? And then Jordan Wicks is going to get some run. Javier Assad impressed for a while. Like, they have other guys in there, but I don't look at it right now and say this is a top-end playoff contending rotation. So where you're coming from is just adding pitching. I think that's very valid. It just would depend on what you'd have to give up for him. And I don't know if PCA for Luzardo 1-for-1 swap is like a deal the Cubs would take. Again, I would like to look more in the number before I say I would make that trade. But if we're talking about trading for good pitching, it's going to cost. It's going to cost something.
I think it would cost more than PCA.
Yeah,
because when you think about it, all right, Chris Sale got traded this weekend, right?
Yeah, and I would rather have Luzardo than Sale, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, he's younger and he's been healthy, right?
And not crazy potentially.
Yeah, he doesn't tear up jerseys, right?
And he got they got the Braves top prospect.
Yeah, they got the Braves top prospect. The thing is, though, is that Chris Sale has a massive contract. The thing about Luzardo is he's cheap and good and 3 years of control. Yeah. That's going to cost you a lot, right? Yeah. And so I say this because you were like, I don't know if the Cubs would trade PCA straight up for Luzardo. I would, because I think it's going to cost more than that. Yeah. So
I will, and this just goes on to Stuckey's point of you may need to have Cody Bellinger in the fold there. I think one of the reasons the Braves were comfortable giving up Vaughn Grissom is because they have Orlando Arcia, who was an all-star shortstop, who was an all-star at the position that Vaughn Grissom would have had he come up, right? So they have someone there coming off an all-star year, has potentially 3 more years of control left. He plays at an all-star level at a position that they would have needed Von Grissom to play, right? So I think they were a little more comfortable because they have Arcia. They're obviously in win-now mode. So to make that trade, they're a little bit more comfortable. Unless the Cubs do have Cody Bellinger in the fold and can play center field for them, I don't know if that comfort is there for the Cubs to give up their top prospect at a pretty big position of need for him. So I don't know.
I wasn't even saying straight up. I'm just saying, would you be willing to include him in a deal for Luzardo, right? Like,
yeah.
And I
think yes.
But potentially, I mean, again, yeah, like you said, like good pitching costs. Good pitching, like really good pitching, especially if Luzardo continues on the trajectory he's been on the last couple of years. Like with the control that he has, good pitching is going to cost you something that hurts. Right. And if that's Pete Core Armstrong, if you're willing to give him up, it would still hurt. But
10.48 strikeouts per 9 last season. That'd probably be highest on the Cubs if we looked it up right now. So like we said, they need swing and miss, and he's been healthy. He's going to be entering age 26 season. Again, for the sake of discussing would we do it, I absolutely would. And I'm a huge PCA guy. I mean, last week I was like, my bold prediction for next year is PCA to lead the team in stolen bases. So it's not that I'm out here trying to shove PCA out of here. It's just that, like, if you give me this scenario, I'm absolutely taking it. So, or I'm willing to go into the negotiation, the conversation of, yes, I would do this. How much is it going to cost? It's going to cost way too much that I don't think the Cubs would do it, but they should be. These are the kinds of trades that I feel like that we all kind of expected this offseason. If they weren't,
we expected bold moves.
Yeah, like we expected a trade like this. Like if you're not going to shell out money for Yamamoto or Ohtani, then okay, you got to get creative in the trade market then. And this would be something creative in the trade market that I think would make their team better. So,
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at his baseball savant profile, fastball velo, 90th percentile, 86th percentile whiff rate, 82nd percentile and strikeout rate. So it is more of what we've talked about this offseason of the Cubs have had a lot. The rotation was a lot of similar pitchers, which with the defense they had behind him could work out. But if you can get a few more arms with more, high velocity, more swing and miss, like that provides that just change, a little bit of difference in the rotation that makes it obviously harder to plan for, harder to line up against. And, again, when we talk about velo, we talk about swing and miss, talk about all that stuff, that works towards limiting the randomness of just baseball happening when you have guys like even Justin Steele, right? Justin Steele did a really good job of limiting barrels, limiting hard contact, all that stuff. However, when guys are putting balls in play against you, you do have just a little bit extra room for just the randomness of baseball to happen. And having guys that have a lot of swing and miss can get strikeouts, that limits that. And so, like, if we're talking about profile-wise, like Luzardo would definitely be a good addition to this rotation.
Well, we'll see what happens. Let's just hope something happens at some point this week.
And he made 32 starts last year, so that's a good sign as far as health.
Barb is asking, once PCA is an all-star, will Cody regret getting him traded? Listen, if Luzardo is good and is healthy for the next 3 years, if this hypothetical trade actually happens, Barb, I will not complain about PCA not being on the team. So,
there you have it.
There you have it. And if I do, then you can yell at me and tell me I was wrong.
A lot of people in the chat are saying they'd also do it. So
yeah, I'm gonna remain consistent with this, Barb. So you buckle up.
Buckle up, Barb. It's 2024.
Love you, by the way.
Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast, the first one of 2024, but many more to come. We'll be back tomorrow live at 1:20. Cody going to start drinking after this show? Maybe a little vitamin C, a little orange juice?
It's dry January, baby.
Dry January.
Dry January.
We go seek some soup, some vitamin D, some vitamin C. We'll be back here live 1:20, 1:30, somewhere around there tomorrow. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, CHGO_Cubs. Is that correct?
Yeah, follow us there. And on Instagram. We're very close to 400 followers.
Hey. Come on. Let's get it done. Until then, thanks for watching, and don't forget, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.